Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. I am your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very accomplished tech entrepreneur from Birmingham, UK, Mr. Tom Allen. Tom, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me, Ashutosh. Really excited.
Thank you. Tom is the founder of the AI Journal, one of the fastest growing new media companies. He's an AI enthusiast. He's a board advisor. He's a content marketer. He's a futurist and much more. So, Tom, let's talk about artificial intelligence today. Tell me about what motivated you to start the AI Journal.
Great question. So it wasn't really so much around AI, Ashutosh. It was more, I wanted to start a business and I wanted to start something that really helped people and gave back. And I had I went into a marketing role within an engineering company, and that naturally led to do with things like machine vision and had some great topics. These a lot of robotics, so like partnerships with KUKA, ABB, Fanuc, and some really big logistical companies that we dealt with. And through there, I got my first taste of what AI was and what these kind of emerging technologies were. And that led me to think, well, I need to find out more about this. I don't know much about it. And that led me to think, where can I find out about this? And I didn't actually find anywhere that was relevant or helping me. So I thought, well, the quickest way I'm going to learn this is by starting something myself. And I thought, well, it's going to welcome people on. And because we're media, which I've noticed now, obviously it allows you to get more and more audience out there. But it was really out of annoyance that I couldn't find anything, Ashutosh. So I was thinking, how can I help people and how can I give back to, because I'm sure other people have the same challenge. And that's why we're open source to this day. And that's been I always look at it as the reason behind growth. And I always encourage anyone that's doing a business, whatever you're in, whether you're someone that's doing what we're doing or you're someone in a completely different sector, to have it open source, especially on the community side, because you'll be able to leverage audiences a lot quicker. And that's how we got started. And it's just been step by step to where we are today. So left my role in the end. I started in February 2020, left my role at the end of December 2020, and I've been at this full time for 9 months now. So it's we really scaled up since I've been at it behind the helm for a full 9 months. So yeah, really exciting journey.
Incredible. So Tom, for our viewers and listeners, help me understand, how is artificial intelligence impacting the lives of the common human being?
Yeah. So it's a really great question because it's impacting everything. It's across all different sectors, all different industries. And whether people are scared of it or afraid of it or they're not too sure on what to do with it, Ashutosh. So people say, I don't like the idea of AI, or they jump to the conclusion that it's taking my jobs. When really, I mean, if you've got a mobile phone like me, if you've got an Apple phone or something, it uses Siri, and all these use some form of combination of whether it's, Siri is NLP and all that is AI. It's looking at what it is. So it's really across healthcare, retail, manufacturing. We have clients across all these different sectors. And when you look at it that way, it really shows just the power it's having. And it's not to take away jobs, but it is to reinforce and give them more time and to make it more efficient and make it more enjoyable. And you get back time so you can focus on more jobs that are or tasks that are gonna give you more value, Ashutosh. So I always encourage people to think that, and there's some really cool case studies and use cases of where it's being used within medicine and healthcare. And I mean, I've seen it being used to spot cancers, and right now there's a drug being tried. It's been put through loads of different things to cure various viruses like the HIV virus and real global epidemic problems that it's solving, right through to retail. So it knows where you're going on holiday, and it knows where you're going, so it can give you a better ticket price for your plane journey. It's in everything for marketing, where to put your ad spend if you're a marketer. So it's a real broad range, and that's what keeps it exciting. So it's a real fun space to be in.
So for the lay person, someone like me, if I look for a ticket to Birmingham from New Delhi, for the next 3 days on every single social media platform, I'm suddenly getting ads for flights to Birmingham. Is that a result of AI?
Probably. It's highly likely. It'll be a mixture between retargeting or noticing what you're doing. I mean, it's essentially From what my knowledge is, it'd be using cookies, tracking your data, and then it would be applying it to think, well, what best option can we give Ashutosh to go to Birmingham to come and see Tom in person? So it would be using it through some sort of filter, I'd imagine. I can't say for sure because I don't know how different businesses run their ads or run it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're tailoring that experience to say, because AI wouldn't be applied to one single person. So it wouldn't just be applied to you, it'd be applied to massive data sets to learn that data and understand the best outcomes. And through that, it can, update the pixels and update what it's feeding you to give you a better experience. But 100% for across those kind of companies, it's we're going to Web Summit next week, and hopefully we're going to interview some people like the CEO of TripAdvisor. And that's exactly what I want to ask them, because I'd imagine they're heavily using machine learning, AI, and potentially, the neural networks to understand all these people that are using their platform, because it's a massive data hub. They can just keep collecting, run a pattern over it. What's the best fee? What's the best cost? And just more on top of that. So not only can you go from Delhi to Birmingham and start getting ads for it, but can you get ads for travel insurance at a better rate? Can you get ads for taxi to the airport? Can you get rates for making sure you get more points on your Amex card when you fly, or whatever travel card you're using? All these different things. And then once you land, where you can go, because it will start building a picture for you. And that is essentially as much as the social dilemma, it's a pretty daunting opinion. It shows you the way that they build a persona for you, almost a clone. And that's what AI does. And it would be building all those things together. And I mean, you come across the ethical issues like selling data, because that's ultimately what it would do to show you how you can apply it to multiple tiers. And that's where it crosses over from retail to travel. And it's,
absolutely. This is so fascinating, because I remember one instance when I was flying somewhere, and not only was it giving me flight options, but they seem to have somewhere in their database that I'm a golfer. And even before I had decided to go to that particular location, it was already telling me which other golf courses available in that city. So it's quite interesting. But moving on, based on your experience, Tom, which industries or which segments have been some of the early adopters of AI?
So, I mean, really, computing is where people took it on, and probably defense and cyber intelligence. I mean, you ask anyone to say anything around defense, they won't talk to you, because it's all NDAs or confidential or lawyer agreements, whatever. But I would imagine that's where it started. I mean, the Turing, look at the film or the book Imitation Game around Alan Turing and doing all of that. That was all heavily focused on early stage AI, and that was to decrypt messages coming from Germany. So, I mean, but at the moment, there's big uptake in every sector, I'd say. I mean, retail is massive on it. Manufacturing is massive on it, because they want to understand, how can I get higher throughput? How can I get higher output? How can I reduce my downtime? There's a great company called Vanti Analytics that are doing that to really understand how they can apply it to companies. Like maybe examples would be people like Nvidia, or looking at how they can do that. So I'd say manufacturing, I'm noticing as one that's really adopting it at the moment. But early adopters, I mean, I wouldn't have a select answer. I'd just say defense is my kind of wild guess at where it's probably being used at the earliest stage.
And then you're probably right. But I've been reading a little bit of about AI, especially when I was preparing for my conversation with an AI guru like you. What would you say, Tom, are some of the common misconceptions people have about AI?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the real misconception is that it's going to take your job, because it's not going to take your job if you're skilled enough to do that job. So it's a real kind of, I mean, I look at it this way, and I always say this, whether people agree with it or not: if you want to become more valuable to the workspace, become more valuable in the person. And AI is never going to take a valuable person's job, because they're always constantly self-developing, always improving, similar to you with this podcast, and similar to the great leaders that we admire, because it's to replace jobs like sending invoices. Like that can easily be done through RPA. You assign a few bots, you can do that, and it can run the trials for you, you can run the systems, and there's big case studies of people saving millions, if not hundreds of millions of pounds, because it's all automated, and you haven't humans. I make tons of problems, loads of people. I don't think there will be anyone in the world that doesn't create a problem or doesn't make a mistake. And that's where even AI makes mistakes, but it doesn't run off emotional background. And that's where they have a real AI and machine learning and all these technologies we use have a real silver lining to them and have a one up on us, because they just run off data and they run off, well, that's the best decision I can see. And I'm not taking into emotions. I'm not taking into this. I'm not taking into logical decisions. And I mean, that's where people get the misconception that it's coming to take your job, or it's going to be evil, or it's going to do something bad. And I mean, it probably will, because there's going to be people out there that are going to program AI to do the wrong things. And I mean, the biggest thing they say is not the next world war is not going to be military. It's going to be through hacking and through computer servers. At first they thought it was nuclear, and now they think it's all going to be cybersecurity. If you get into a main grid, you can lock down a city, and God knows what that does to your economy. And if you shut down all the hospitals and all the food, and you can see where that can happen. And that all comes through some hacker going into it. So that's where the big problems are, and they are real problems. I'm not saying they won't happen, and they probably will happen from time to time, because someone will hit the right trigger, and that's where people have really got to watch out for. But I think the misconception that it's going to take your job, it's going to take your job if it and this is maybe not a harsh statement, but if you're a low skilled worker, it will probably at some point impact your job, because they can do it for cheaper, and there's no tax at the moment on these kind of things, which I think there should be personally. But it is the misconception. If you want to become more, you should become more valuable, and then you'll have AI doing tasks for you. And I think that's that would be my area. But even for jobs, it's years away. Like, it is so far away that it's going to take these kind of jobs, because as soon as you free up space, right, Ashutosh, as soon as you get peace of mind, do you normally get better ideas? Yes or no?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's it.
And there you go. And once you get a better idea, you get a new business idea. And once you get a new business idea, you need more people to do that business with you. Look at all the startups coming. It adds so much to the economy because they need more people. So it's that constant, when you've got more time to focus, you're going to have better ideas. And through that, you're going to need more team members. And I think that's where this misconception that in the next year it's going to take your job is just, it's rubbish. I don't see it that close. But so I'd say stop being scared of it and start kind of trying to understand it to some degree, because you're normally most scared of something you don't understand, right? So that's what I'd recommend, or say the biggest misconception is at the moment.
Yeah. And you did speak about data just now. There is a big lobby which talks about some of the ethical issues of AI, saying, why is my data being taken away and how will this get used? I'd love to get your perspective.
Yeah, so how my data get used when it takes away. So that really is an area, and there's a lot of big cybersecurity companies coming up with ways to defend this and to encrypt it. And I was speaking with someone literally just before this call about how they do it to collaborate on data science. Because it's the biggest thing, especially in financial services or regulated industries, healthcare, how to, when that data gets into the wrong hands, Ashutosh, how to change that. So it's a real key thing. And I mean, I don't have the perfect answer for it, but I think what will happen is there are going to be data security leaks, and people think, oh my God, I'm not negative, but I am realistic that when we keep innovating and keep things are going to get let loose and things are going to happen. I mean, look at Facebook at the moment. They've just been found out that they're doing all sorts of dodgy aspects within their business. And these kind of lessons happen, and once they happen, you can learn from them, because before they happen, you can't learn from them. And I think it's having that over mindset to think, yeah, they are going to happen, they shouldn't happen, but I mean, it's if you want to live a life where things always shouldn't happen, you're not going to have a very happy life. So it's gonna. I think that's what I'd watch out for. But I mean, it's in really good hands. I mean, you look at how much data is going around, Ashutosh. It is ridiculous. Like, there is so much new data being created every day. And for how little data gets misled or gets opened up, but how quickly that also gets recaptured and re-given back, or money gets put back into the victim's accounts, or whatever it is, or data back to the victim's business, is rapid. So I think for how much data is going around, the risk is minimal. Like, I'd love to see, I don't know the percentage, but I would love to see the kind of comparison between how much data is out there and how much actually gets leaked or misused or can fall into the wrong hands, because we're just as we spoke for the past 20 minutes, we've created God knows how much data. So it's a real interesting aspect, and I think that's what I'd always encourage people is it's highly unlikely. It's like when you board a plane, it's highly unlikely you're going to be in a plane crash because it's just so well coordinated.
Absolutely.
And it's the same thing with data.
I agree with you. But moving on now, Tom, AI is also creating a challenge for governments.
Yeah.
How do governments, who always fancy themselves as the best regulators in the interest of each one of us,
Yeah.
how do governments react to artificial intelligence? And are some countries way ahead of others?
Yeah, so some countries are way ahead, but I don't really think it's to do with the governments. It's to do with the business leaders. That, in my opinion, and this might be quite an arrogant opinion, maybe 15 years I'll look back and think I shouldn't have said that, but I don't think the government know much about AI. And they're very like, I saw the Office of AI release that statement at AI Summit.
Mhm.
It's a load of PR stunt as well, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm.
And I just couldn't understand. They do not know how to regulate it because you can't regulate something that hasn't been created yet.
Mhm.
And that's the constant problem because we're just coming up with more and more quicker solutions.
Mm.
And I think government are not in the right place to be challenging it. And obviously they are the ones that governing laws, and it's a tricky thing. And I probably disagree myself at some point, but they are going to have a challenge because they don't understand it. They don't have that kind of, they want to limit all these big companies like the big four or the big tech or the big pharma or all these people that heavily use AI and heavily use all the cool emerging technologies at their fingertips. But they, as far as I see, they're not going away and creating their own kind of labs or creating their own centers of excellence or their own testing or their own kind of universities or academies that these companies are coming up with, because they don't understand it. And it's normally the people that are very, very senior. And I disagree with it. I'm sure lots of people probably disagree with my view, but they're not the best people to regulate it. They're not the best, and they don't take advice as far as I can see, or as far as the media shows me, or as far as what I know from, not insider knowledge, but from what I know from C-suite at big companies. They don't know. And I think that's where they're going to struggle because they're not immersed in the technology. And this is a personal opinion. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but to get to that regulation, it's a long way off. And because as soon as they start regulating something, a new technology comes along, a new business incorporates, and you've got a whole new team that needs to go and understand it. And I think they'll always be chasing the wind. They'll always be chasing it. They'll never be ahead of the curve, and they'll never be ahead of the innovators and the people that are building AI businesses. So it's going to be very hard for them to regulate it, and they'll always be, but probably a very, very good commercially, because they'll be able to spend a lot of money on constantly just catching up. So it's yeah. So
Well said. So I have time for one more question, and this is again probably at a philosophical level, but I'd love to get your perspective. Will artificial intelligence result in a grossly imbalanced world between the haves and the have-nots?
Oh, I've never been asked that before. So great question. I think it'll improve everyone's life to some degree. I mean, if you look at the world we're in today, Ashutosh, I think Bill Gates said it was like, if you look at it from where we were 50 years ago to where we are now, the world's greatly improved. Like, fair enough, we've got climate change, and that's a problem that's come out of how much innovation we're doing and how many more people are being born. But life expectancies are up across the world. People that aren't dying of diseases are down. And it's all these great things. Financial, there's less people in poverty overall across the world, and there's all these better things that are coming from it. And I think it'll be the same with AI. I mean, that's why I'm a big fan personally of what Elon Musk is doing, because he's huge on things like Starlink. And Starlink is to give free Wi-Fi to the world. And it's similar to what Tesla is trying to do with free electricity to the world. If you can provide that, imagine what kind of opportunities that will give to people in rural Africa or rural Afghanistan, or all these places that are seen as less economically developed. It'll allow them to start doing transactions locally and start really thriving local economies and thriving, but also thriving bad militant groups. So I really don't know. And I mean, if I always have the conception, if things come about that we do go to space and we go to travel to space, people think, oh, space travel's bad. I don't think it's too bad, because off going to space, you come up with new ideas that you didn't explore. And through that, like, what they're trying to create is like rapid response units. So if there's a fire in Australia like we had, or the wildfires in California, there's been several other places, you can do rapid response units from space. It's quite futuristic thinking, but that kind of innovation is on its way. And that really will if you think and people are always going to find a problem, because people, like, if you watch the news, it's always bad news. It's never really good, because that's what gets your attention.
Correct.
And that's what you think when you look at this. So there will be problems that come about from it. I'm sure there will be, but the positives will be 10 times greater, 100 times greater. And that's where I would say it won't create an imbalance, but there's always naturally going to be an imbalance. You could, I saw a famous quote: you can give money that's all available in the world, equally distribute it to people across the world, and it would probably end up in the same people's hands, because they're the ones that understand how to create value. I think it will be the same kind of aspect. That would be my personal opinion. I'm sure people would disagree, but that's So it's a really great question, Ashutosh.
Well, I agree with you. So, on that note, Tom, thank you so much. It's been such a privilege speaking to you. Thank you for taking out the time and talking to me in so much length about artificial intelligence. I've learned a lot of new things from you today. Good luck with everything that you're doing with the AI Journal, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you. Thank you again.
Really appreciate it, Ashutosh. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.